Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity you grant me so as to take my own part in this debate in respect to the motion put before us. Honorable Speaker, first of all, I would like to commend the Select Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters, the Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters, for the effort that they have done so as to come with a very brief and explanatory report to honorable members for them to discuss on it or talk about it. First of all, Honorable Speaker, page 4 of the Standing Committee's report, if I may refer you to that page, number 17, where the committee noted that the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs confirmed to them that government is looking into the situation for the possibility of providing such sort of relief package for the most vulnerable. Madam Speaker, the key word I would like to underline in that sentence or in that line would be looking. I would have not expected government to respond to the committee like that, saying looking. They could have looked. They could have looked and see the possibility of providing such sort of relief and package for the most vulnerable. Because, Honorable Speaker, I concur with the minority leader who says whether it is being 90 days, 100 days, what matters is the regulation. It's true. Even the 45 days that the committee recommends, if there are no strong regulations or very, very, very favorable recommendations, regulations, the 45 days too would be long, as my honorable member for Jokadu have said. So we need regulations, and among these regulations should have been looking, you looked into the possibility of providing such sort of relief package. Madam Speaker, as of March 24, in the year of 2020, the Gambia, in its fiscal policy responses to the impact of COVID-19, the government of the Gambia have prepared a $9 million COVID-19 action plan, for which they are seeking grant financing. And I understood that as of yesterday, the 2nd of March, World Bank has just approved $10 million grant from the International Development Association, IDA. So therefore, Honorable Speaker, I can't understand that word looking. I can't understand that. It's not even necessary for me to be quoting some countries that have made the first step of action plan as to how best they can feed their citizens before locking them into their houses. That was the first approach they did. Chad did it. Ghana did it. Senegal, our neighbor, they did it. They take foodstuff to the doorsteps of needy people. Because we know the COVID-19 need a collaborative effort to fight it. Not government, because we understood that it is a household saying that government alone cannot do it. We know it, and it is a common saying. But well, if government cannot do it alone, then therefore we need collaborative efforts. Every individual in this country should have a stake in this fight, in this crusade. Madam Speaker, page 5 of the report essential commodities, number 23. Essential Commodities Emergency Powers Regulations 2020. There, the committee was of the opinion that the commercial business should not be totally closed. Rather, the regulations should only restrict their closing and opening time. Madam Speaker, I concur with them. And I applaud for them in coming up with this observation. Let the opening and closing time of these shops be indicated by government rather than closing them for a temporary reason because of the COVID-19. Going to page 6, Honorable Speaker, of the same report, recommendation on the recommendations. Recommendation number 4. If you may allow me, Honorable Speaker, to read directly, that the Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs and the relevant ministries, example, health, trade, tourism, transport, interior, etc., to work with the Attorney General and Minister for Justice to come up with a compensatory mechanism to provide some relief package the most vulnerable during the times of restriction. Madam Speaker, this is so. I would like to refer you to the Emergency Impact Act, the Emergency Powers Act, Act number 12 of 1965. For those who has it in your hands, honorable members, if you look at page 6, I'm just trying to show you that, Honorable Speaker, that the recommendation given by the committee, the standing committee, on number 4 is very ideal as respect to the Emergency Powers Act, Act number 12 of 1965. Honorable Speaker, if you would allow me to read directly from that act. Under F, it says, provide for payment of compensation and remuneration to persons affected by the regulations. Madam Speaker, you can see how the Standing Committee on Human Rights and Constitutional Matters was very apt in coming up with recommendation number 4. The government needs to compensate. I said it, that should have been the first strategy that they should put in place before even thinking of 21 days, 90 days, so on and so forth. That should have been the first thing that they should calculate. Because they know, as the 21 days first mentioned, when I went to Latrikunda Market, Honorable Speaker, I met with a civil servant loading his pickup with foodstuffs. But can the farmer do it? Because that person fears that might be there will be scarcity of foodstuffs in the market. So instead, he went to the market and loaded his pickup with foodstuffs. That is just a justification that, Honorable Speaker, the government should have calculated, first of all, as to what can they do to sustain these people while these 90 days or 21 days was talked about. Honorable Speaker, if you would also allow me to talk about the landlord. I have talked about collaborate efforts. Landlords, I said it, everybody have a stake on this crusade of fighting COVID-19. It's not only government alone. even you and I and all the members here have a stake. First of all, I will also congratulate and thank the chairperson for Health Committee, who stood very firm by the side of MPs. In the last week, all the honorable members went back to their constituencies, talking to their people about the effects of COVID-19, the impact of COVID-19. They don't only do that, they were supplied with materials to go and take it to their constituencies. So I thank you, Honorable Chairperson of the Health Committee. But Honorable Speaker, fighting COVID-19 needs a collaborative effort. Let me come back to that point. It is not lost on me, Honorable Speaker, that landlords also therefore need or have a stake in this fight. Landlords have a stake in the fighting of this crusade COVID-19. If they cannot reduce the, if at all somebody talk about reducing the price of their houses so that tenants can be able to pay, but for me, Honorable Speaker, I'm saying or I'm suggesting to them, the landlords, because it is not all those who, all the tenants who are salary earners. Some are wages earners. Let them come up with suggestions as to how best they can also help their tenants. A tenant who has been occupying your house as a landlord for 3 years, 3 consecutive years, paying you $3,000 every month, within of 45 days as we are proposing here. You can't even forgive that tenant that 1 month rent. Let's look at it. And now we are talking about government. Government should do this, government should do that. Madam Speaker, it is not fair. It is not fair at all. These landlords are Gambians, most of them. They are Gambians. So they have a stake in this crusade of fighting COVID-19. I am urging them, Honorable Speaker, I am urging them to do something in respect to the fight of COVID-19 as forgiving their tenants of that 1 month or at least 1 month rentage. Madam Speaker, this will take me to the commercial vehicle owners. Commercial vehicle owners should also know they take drivers, hired drivers, to ply the road from Birkama to Basse, from Birkama to Soma, from Birkama, from Bundun to Birkama, so on and so forth. Madam Speaker, let the commercial vehicle owners understand that they also have a stake. They also have a stake in this fight of COVID-19. I am urging them also, Honorable Speaker, also to understand their drivers. Because I knew the owners of these commercial vehicles have stipulated some amount of money that the drivers should bring to them every day or every week. But at this crucial moment, Honorable Speaker, let the commercial vehicle owners understand that we are in a crucial moment, a moment which needs effort, everybody's effort, to be on desk so as to see the way forward so that we can get out of this COVID-19. On that note, Madam Speaker, the commercial vehicle owners also have a stake in this thing, in the fight of COVID-19. Madam Speaker, the redundant workers is another issue. We understood that the COVID-19 have hit the tourism sector very well. it is not lost on all of us here that the tourism sector is well affected. Madam Speaker, we have our brothers and sisters, our aunties, our uncles, who have been laid off work in the tourism sector. They are sitting down in their houses, no salary. So if we are talking about 45 days as proposed by the standing committee, so this means, Madam Speaker, these people will go without salary for 1 or 2 months. What is the government doing for them? These redundant workers, what is the government doing for them, Madam Speaker? It's a question I would like to ask the government through the Minister of Finance. Madam Speaker, the private sector also need compensation, Madam Speaker. The SMEs, the small and medium enterprises, they need compensation. As we, the households, need compensation, the SMEs also need compensation, Madam Speaker. Because their activity would be reduced if this 45 days is going to be approved by the humble house. The activity of the SMEs would be hindered. Madam Speaker, during the last week when we were all into our constituencies, when I went to Jarra Central, Madam Speaker, it is sad to say, Madam Speaker, that most of these areas in the hinterland are bordered with Senegal. And in fact, they are not only bordered, but with porous entry points. With porous entry points. Madam Speaker, there is no security in those porous entry points as to take control of who gets in and who gets out through those entry points. And still, I know the Minister of Environment is not around, but let those who are here take note. The timber business is still on. And most of these timbers are coming from the Senegal, the Casamance area, into the country, into our Gambia. As I went to my constituency, Honorable Speaker, I confronted with a bunch of them with their timbers and donkey cart, horse cart, entering into my constituency. Thanks God that I already mount that bucket that was given to me to take to those people. I forced them to wash their hands through that bucket. If not, they could have just entered. Who knows what they come with, whether they carry the virus or not. And this is continuing. Both day and night. I understood that the security went there to these points, talking to them, but they don't adhere to it, Madam Speaker. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I am urging the security sector also to be very, very proactive in helping the country and its citizens towards fighting COVID-19. Let us not relent our efforts. Though I thank the effort that you are doing, I thank you, security sector. I thank you so much. But still, there is need for you to take charge of your responsibilities as to secure and protect the citizens of the country. Madam Speaker, the last but not the least, it is not also lost on me, Honorable Speaker, that the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare to present to Parliament as to how the COVID-19 fund is to be spent in this humble house. On that note, Honorable Speaker,